Hey internet friends, this week we're going to be making my award-winning chili. It's spicy, it's hearty, it's delicious, it's the perfect fall food. Let's get right into it. Screenshot this shot just like every other video. Now let's get started. First thing we got to do is the meat marinade. You take your big old piece of chuck steak right here. Look at it, it's marbled gloriness right here, and you're going to want to cut it up and trim a little bit of the fat off it. As you can see, my method is cutting it into strips, trimming some of the fat, and then cutting it into smaller pieces. Now look at this beautiful meat mountain right here. Then you want to take meat mountain and you want to pour it into a giant mixing bowl. You want the bowl to be big enough so that you can add more meat because we're going to add more meat. You want to add your 2 pounds of ground beef. Now you want to mix everything together real nice so that everything is friends. Now for some heat, add 2 bottles of chipotle chili sauce. And for some nice tang, about 2 to 3 cups of orange juice. Add your salt and don't forget to add your freshly ground black pepper. And now don't be shy, go ahead and mix everything up. Make sure everything's touching, make sure all the flavors are getting to know each other. Now you could seal this bad boy and put it in the fridge for up to 4 hours or up to overnight. I recommend overnight. Overnight's the best way to go because that way all your flavors will be good friends. And then you can do all the prep the night before. And now we move on to the homemade chili paste, which is 100% way better than anything you could store-bought. We want to start with the dried Ancho chili peppers. Well, what you want to do is kind of break them apart, get all the seeds out of them, get all the veins and the stems and all that, and break them into little pieces, kind of put them in another bowl. Basically, anything that doesn't seem like it would cut up real good or be edible, you don't want to put in your peppers. And now we're going to take our Ancho chilies and throw them on a piping hot cast iron skillet so that they can get a little bit of fragrance. You want to leave them on there for probably like less than a minute, maybe a minute most, just so they kind of smoke just so a little bit of fragrance comes out. Then you want to put them in a bowl so that they can cool down for just a few minutes before we move on to the next step. Once they're cooled down, throw them into your high-speed food processor and you want to turn them into dust. This process can take anywhere between 3 minutes to 10 minutes. Depends on your food processor, the type of patience you have, how sharp your blades are, all that stuff. But you want to make sure that you make this actually into a powder, a fine powder. You can just keep going and going. It's going to take a while. So you really want to think about how good this chili is going to be. Once it's a perfect powder, you want to add a cup of cornmeal with a mixture of dried oregano and rosemary to give it some flavor. And then you want to go ahead and pulse that just like once or twice just so that they can all be friends. And then you want to take about 2 cups of beef stock and you want to pour that in very gently and gingerly, and then you want to give it a few pulses because you want to get this nice thick paste, because that's right, we're making the chili paste. Go ahead and make sure it's all pasty and delicious. And then once you get the consistency that you want it very kind of thick, you want a paste. You can go ahead and put it in a bowl and then set that aside for later because we won't need it again until we begin cooking everything. At last, we've come to our final prep step, and that is cutting up the vegetables. You're going to start with your yellow onion. Give that a fine mince real fast. Next up is your jalapenos. You want to make sure you de-seed these because seeds do not taste good. You want to make sure you finely mince these guys just like you did with the onions. Just go ahead and chop them up into julienne style and then go ahead and mince them up real nice and fine. Just like that. And then lather, rinse, and repeat. Make sure you do the same thing with your poblanos. And lastly, you want to do the same with your habanero, but you want to make sure that you wear gloves, or while you're cutting it, you want to make sure that you don't touch your face while you're cutting it, because that'll burn real bad. And now this step is completely optional, but I like to throw my onions and my green peppers, not the habaneros, only the green peppers, into a food processor and kind of give it a mince so that everything's about the same consistency. But this step is entirely optional. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. So now we've come to my favorite part, which is browning of the meat. Did your meat sit in the marinade for long enough? I sure hope so. Mine sit overnight. So now what you want to do is get a piping hot cast iron skillet, bring it up to temperature, throw the meat on, and cook it in batches. You don't want to overcrowd your meat. That'll make it too greasy. It's chuck, so it's going to be greasy to begin with, so you want to not overcrowd it. You want to make sure you do it in batches. That's the most important part. Do it in batches. And then make sure you keep all that delicious fawn at the bottom of the pot. And once all your meat is brown and set aside in a bowl, we can start adding the vegetables. You want to add just a little bit of oil to the pan just to make things a little bit greasy, but you don't want to really remove any of that delicious meat residue. And now we can add our green pepper and onion mixture and let it sweat for a few minutes and get some aromatics going. While it's sweating, you want to add a tablespoon of minced onions, and you want to let it keep sweat for just a few more minutes to cook away that raw onion smell. Then you want to deglaze with a full-bodied beer, about half a can. Give everything a nice good stir. Make sure you get all the delicious stuff off the bottom of the pan, and then you want to get ready to move it to your next vessel. And now we can move everything to our crock pot. You're going to add your 3 types of beans, add your meat mixture, add your spice paste, your chili paste that we made together, and then you want to add your crushed tomatoes, And then you want to mix everything together. Everything's so nice. Make sure everything's all mixed in there. And don't forget to add your habaneros too. See, they're there. I bet you thought I forgot. Now give everything a great big stir. Let's set this guy up so that it can cook right. And now for cook times, you want to do high for 4 hours or low for 8 hours. But that's about where you want it to be. While that's cooking, you can go ahead and put on your shirt you got for Christmas and self-promote yourself on a pint glass because you're shameless and you're a terrible person. But everyone loves you anyways. Go ahead and chug that beer because this is a Batness video and you need to chug a beer in every video. And then point at that glass. After 4 hours, go ahead and check on it, see if it looks like chili, and then go ahead and start plating it up. Follow me on Instagram for more beautiful pictures like this. All right, are you ready to eat?
Yes.
Yeah, huh? Is the appropriate response to this chili.
Very flavorful. Oh man, that's good. Hold on, I need more. I want to get like sour cream and cheese in there too. Get the full effect.
It's meaty and smoky because of the chipotle sauce. Chipotle sauce.
I like that. I like that you used the two different types of meat. So like when you get a mouthful, you get like a nice chunk of that chuck, and it like makes it really meaty and good. It's not just like your standard chili of just like ground beef. You know what I mean? Really diverse flavors and textures. And not to mention the 3 types of beans too. It's really good.
Yeah, the black bean adds like a whole new thing into it that the other beans, because the light red beans and the dark red beans taste very similar, but the black beans are an entirely different flavor.
And the use of the different types of peppers and chilies too. It's like a fiesta chili. Very good.
And it's got good heat, but it's not like hot. It's like flavorful heat.
Right. I love beans in my chili. And not a lot of people do. But I love beans in my chili. So I love...
Beans make chili chili.
Yeah. And I love the different types. Every bite is like a mouthful of meat and beans. And it's sweet, but smoky and spicy at the same time. So it's like a party in my mouth.
It's a mouth party, and everybody's invited. I can't go anywhere without spilling on myself.
I was gonna tell you, but I had a mouthful.
That's what she said?
I'm just gonna take my chili and leave now.
Come back.
Sorry. Definitely don't need cheese though. I wouldn't miss the cheese if it wasn't in there. Which I don't think I've ever said about cheese in my life. This is so good. I got like a little bit of pepper in that one.
Yeah, there is a habanero, an entire habanero somewhere in here. But I feel like mixed throughout, like, it gives it that constant heat without giving it the overpower. And the jalapeno and the, what was the other one?
Oh, poblano.
Poblano. Because I also have the ancho chili that I use to make my homemade chili paste.
This is like a chili for everyone. Like if you like spicy, this is good. If you don't like spicy, it's not too much heat. It's still kind of sweet. It's definitely like an everybody chili.
Well, this is award-winning chili.
I'm trying to pick my favorite part of this, like what stands out from all the other chilies I've had, because I'm quite a chili connoisseur, and I really think it's the chuck that you chopped up.
The steak.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. Like, cause you get like standard little piece of meat, and then you're like, oh, this is steaky.
But it's so flavorful. I think that's my favorite part.
That's a good part.
Yeah, I thought it was the beans. I think it's the steak.
Would you recommend this chili to a friend?
Yeah. I'd feed this to my family.
You hear that, YouTube? She recommends this to her family. Please make it for your family.
And then invite me over.
Gee, wasn't that delicious? Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. I'm sure some of the videos will be around here somewhere. And don't forget to hit that bell button. Cheers.